The wind howls across the empty fields, and the sky is dark with heavy clouds. In the distance, a large, shadowy facility stands like a silent warning. Every creak of the old gates, every flicker of broken lights, seems to whisper secrets long buried. For Ty, this place is not just a building, it is the embodiment of every fear he thought he had left behind. The air feels thick with tension, and with every step closer, his heart pounds faster. Night, Ty must face the facility of his nightmares, the place where memories he tried to forget are waiting for him. Will he survive the shadows of his past, or will they consume him entirely? Ty walks along the dusty road, the wind tugging at his jacket and whistling in his ears. Each step feels heavier than the last, as if the ground itself is resisting him. The facility looms ahead, its tall gates rusted and swinging slightly in the wind, producing a hollow, eerie sound that echoes across the empty fields. Broken signs with faded letters warn of danger. But for Ty, the warning is already too late. The memories that have haunted him for years are calling him back. And no amount of fear can stop him now. The surrounding trees sway violently, their skeletal branches scratching against each other like dry bones. Shadows stretch across the ground, creating shapes that seem alive. Ty glances at them, his chest tightening. Every crack in the fence, every broken window, feels like a mirror reflecting fragments of his past. The facility seems almost alive, as if it knows he has returned and is ready to confront him. The sky overhead is dark, clouds moving quickly, blocking out the last light of day. A faint lightning strike illuminates the structure for a brief second, revealing the broken doors and jagged edges of shattered glass. Ty takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He remembers the nights when he couldn't sleep, haunted by dreams of this very place. The facility was more than just a building. It was the stage for the moments he wished he could erase. Every corner, every hallway, carries a memory he cannot run from. As he steps closer to the gates, the wind seems to carry whispers, soft, almost human, murmuring his name. Ty pauses, heart racing. He can feel the tension building in his chest, the tight knot of fear and anticipation that has been with him for years. He knows that beyond these gates, the truth waits, wrapped in shadows and memories he tried to bury. He can almost see glimpses of the past, a fleeting shadow of someone he once knew, a fragment of a scream, a flash of a hand reaching out. His mind races, but he forces himself to take another step, gripping the gates with trembling hands. The metal is cold under his fingers, rough and jagged, leaving small scratches on his skin. He pushes the gates open slowly, the sound loud and echoing, like a warning to the darkness inside. The hallway beyond is dark, the faint hum of old machinery and distant dripping water greeting him. Every instinct tells him to turn back, to leave and never return, but Ty can't. He has to face what lies within, no matter how terrifying it might be. The wind dies down slightly, leaving an eerie silence. Ty steps forward, his footfalls echoing through the empty halls. Shadows stretch along the walls, moving with every flicker of the dying lights. He knows that once he crosses this threshold, there is no turning back. Every fear he has kept hidden, every memory he has buried will come rushing back. In this place, Ty will have to face them all. Ty pauses in the dim hallway, the faint hum of broken lights flickering above him. The air is heavy, almost suffocating, carrying the faint smell of rust and decay. He leans against the wall, trying to steady his breathing, but the echoes of the past are relentless. Every creak of the floor, every drip of water from the ceiling, seems to call out to him, dragging memories into the present. He feels trapped, not by the building, but by the ghosts that live in his mind. As he moves forward, the shadows along the walls stretch and twist, taking shapes he doesn't recognize at first. Then he sees flashes, shapes that resemble people he once knew, distorted and fleeting. For a moment, he blinks and they're gone, but the feeling remains. He's not alone. His heart pounds harder and sweat beads on his forehead. Every step he takes feels heavier than the last, as if invisible hands are holding him back, whispering doubts into his ear. The hallway opens into a larger room, its corners swallowed by darkness. Ty stops, and in the silence, his memories begin to flood him. He remembers nights he thought he had left behind, The fear, the pain, the things he swore he would never face again. The facility is more than walls and doors. It is a mirror reflecting every secret he tried to hide, every scream he tried to silence. The memories aren't gentle, they are sharp, like cold knives brushing against his skin, leaving invisible marks of fear and regret. A sudden creak makes him flinch. In the shadows, it feels as if something is moving just beyond his vision. Ty's mind races. Could it be someone else? Or is it just his imagination twisting the darkness? The lines between reality and memory blur, and he struggles to tell the difference. Every sound is amplified. The drip of water becomes a drumbeat of dread. The hum of the lights turns into whispers of accusations. His chest tightens. The fear isn't just around him, it is inside him, climbing through his veins, taking control of his thoughts. Ty forces himself to keep moving. Each step is a battle with himself. Grips the edges of the walls for support, as if holding on to sanity itself. The shadows seem to follow him, stretching across the floor, crawling along the walls. He can almost hear them breathing, almost hear them laughing at him. The darkness isn't empty. It's full of memories, full of pain, full of every nightmare he's tried to forget. As he walks, he sees a door at the end of the hall, partially open, a faint light spilling out. The light is weak, almost inviting, but Ty knows it is a test. Beyond that door lies the next layer of his fears, the place where his nightmares have taken shape. He hesitates, his hand hovering over the doorknob. The fear in him wants to turn away, to flee into the storm outside, to leave this place behind. But something stronger keeps him rooted in, unspoken need to face it. To finally confront the truth that has haunted him for so long, with a deep breath, Ty reaches for the doorknob, his fingers brushing the cold metal. Every nerve in his body screams for him to stop, but he doesn't. The darkness around him pulses with expectation, as if the facility itself is holding its breath. And in that moment, Ty realizes something he can't ignore. The real nightmare isn't the building, it's what he's carrying inside himself. This section focuses on Ty's psychological struggle, blurring reality and memory, using faceless video storytelling techniques like shadows. POV shots and symbolic movements. The door creaks open, revealing a long, narrow corridor bathed in a pale, flickering light. The walls are scarred, covered in peeling paint and strange marks that Ty doesn't recognize but instinctively knows are connected to the past he's tried to forget. The air is colder here, biting at his skin, carrying the faint metallic smell of something old and decayed. Each step he takes echoes loudly, bouncing off the walls like the cries of unseen figures. It feels as if the corridor itself is alive, stretching endlessly before him, daring him to proceed. Ty's hand grazes the wall as he moves forward, feeling the rough texture under his fingertips. Shadows shift and dance around him with every flicker of light, creating illusions of movement just at the edge of his vision. For a moment, he swears he sees someone standing in the darkness, watching him. But when he blinks, there's nothing. The silence presses in on him, thick and heavy, broken only by the distant hum of machinery, almost like a heartbeat synchronized to his own. The facility seems to remember him. Every corner, every hallway, holds echoes of moments he hoped would remain hidden. Ty's mind fills with fragmented images, a scream he couldn't stop, a hand reaching for him and vanishing, a shadow moving across a room he can barely place. He wants to turn back to escape, but the path behind him has already disappeared into darkness. Forward is the only option, and forward leads deeper into the nightmare. A faint door appears at the end of the corridor, slightly ajar. Light leaks through in irregular pulses, casting strange patterns on the cracked floor. Ty approaches cautiously, each step measured, each breath shallow. The facility seems to pulse around him, the walls throbbing with a life of their own. He feels drawn toward the door, a mix of fear and irresistible curiosity pulling him forward. Beyond it, he senses answers or at least confrontations he can't avoid. As he reaches the threshold, Ty notices small, almost imperceptible signs along the walls. Scratches, faded notes, remnants of what was left behind long ago. Each one feels like a message meant only for him, a breadcrumb trail leading to the truth he has spent years trying to bury. His chest tightens, and a cold sweat runs down his spine. The facility is no longer just a place. It is a mirror reflecting every secret, every regret, every hidden fear he carries inside. Ty's shadow stretches long in the flickering light as he steps into the room. The door clicks shut behind him with a finality that makes his stomach drop. Inside, the air is thick and oppressive, and the faint hum of machinery becomes louder, almost rhythmic. It feels like the building itself is breathing, observing, waiting for him to face what lies ahead. Every instinct screams that he is about to confront something that could change him forever, and yet he cannot turn away. He takes another step forward, and the room opens up, revealing objects, symbols, and echoes of the past in eerie detail. Broken furniture, scattered papers, and shadows create a maze of memories. Ty moves slowly, almost reverently, because he knows that in this room, in this space, the line between memory and reality will blur completely. What he finds here will test him not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And in that moment, Ty understands the heart of the facility is also the heart of his nightmare, and there is no escaping either. This section heightens tension by emphasizing atmosphere, symbolism, and psychological dread, perfect for a faceless video. It builds anticipation for the confrontation that will follow in the next sections. Ty steps further into the room, and the faint flickering light casts strange shapes on the walls. The space feels alive, as if the facility itself is breathing around him, pushing him to face what he has long avoided. Shadows stretch and twist, forming distorted figures that seem eerily familiar. At first, Ty hesitates, frozen by fear, but then he realizes he cannot hide from what is coming. The room is no longer just a place. It is a reflection of his mind, and every memory he buried is rising to meet him as he walks. Fragments of the past appear before his eyes. A flash of a hand reaching for him, then vanishing. A door slamming shut behind a faceless figure. The echoes of voices he cannot fully hear, whispering his name and secrets he thought were long forgotten. Each vision is fleeting, but each one pierces him with a sharp reminder of the pain he has carried for years. His chest tightens, his hands tremble, yet he continues forward. Drawn by the need to confront the truth, Ty's surroundings grow more surreal with every step. Broken furniture seems to shift in the corners of his vision, and papers scattered across the floor appear to move as if alive. The facility bends reality, making him question whether what he sees is real or a trick of his mind. Shadows twist into shapes of people from his past friends, foes, strangers he doesn't remember, but each figure evokes emotion, stirring fear, regret, and guilt all at once. He flinches at every movement, yet cannot look away. The whispers grow louder, overlapping in a chaotic chorus that rattles his thoughts. You can't escape. You can't hide. Face it. The voice is familiar, yet distorted, coming from all directions at once. Ty clutches his head, trying to block it out, but the sounds seep into his very being. He knows that if he falters now, if he allows the fear to overwhelm him, the memories will consume him entirely. Every step he takes is a battle, not with the facility, but with the fragments of himself he has tried to bury. At the center of the room, faint light pulses over an object partially covered in shadows. Ty moves closer, drawn by instinct and fear alike. It is a small, broken mirror, cracked down the middle. As he peers into it, he sees not his reflection, but fleeting images of the worst moments he has ever experienced, the moments that shaped him, frightened him, and changed him forever. The mirror becomes a portal to his own subconscious. Forcing him to relive the pain he thought he had escaped, Ty's breathing grows shallow as the visions intensify. He feels the weight of every memory pressing down on him, threatening to crush him. And yet, amidst the fear, a strange clarity begins to emerge. He realizes that to move forward, he cannot run. He cannot avoid the darkness. The facility is showing him his fears, but it also offers him a chance to confront them. Each shadow, each whisper, each distorted vision is part of a truth he must face if he ever hopes to find peace. Summoning all his courage, Ty steps closer to the mirror. He extends a hand, his fingers hovering over the cracked surface. The shadows flicker violently, as if resisting, but he does not pull away. In that moment, he understands something vital. The nightmare isn't just around him, is inside him. And the only way to survive it is to face it head on. The facility is no longer a place to fear. It is a test, a crucible where Ty must confront the darkest parts of himself or be consumed entirely. Ty steps deeper into the room. The air grows colder, thick with tension that presses against his chest. Shadows stretch across the floor like dark fingers, reaching toward him with every step. The walls seem to pulse and breathe, closing in subtly, as though the facility itself is alive and testing his courage. Every sound is amplified, the faint hum of machinery, the drip of water from a leaky ceiling, even the shuffle of his own footsteps, creating a rhythm that feels like the heartbeat of the nightmare surrounding him. As he moves forward, the shadows start to shift, coalescing into shapes that resemble people he has feared most in his life. Their forms are incomplete, distorted, almost like broken reflections of reality. They don't speak, but their presence alone is suffocating. Ty's chest tightens, and a cold sweat runs down his back. Each shadow mirrors a memory, a failure, a fear he never fully confronted. For a moment, he freezes, paralyzed by the realization that these manifestations are not just illusions, they are the embodiment of his own guilt and trauma. A sudden loud clang echoes through the room, and one of the shadowy figures lunges toward him. Ty jumps back instinctively, heart racing, but the figure dissipates like smoke before it can touch him. The room seems to respond to his fear. Every shadow grows larger, darker, and more aggressive. Broken furniture trembles slightly, as if reacting to the tension, and papers on the floor swirl into a small, chaotic storm. The facility itself is punishing him, forcing him to navigate through his deepest fears with no guide, no safety. Only the raw presence of terror. Ty's mind races as he struggles to distinguish between reality and memory. The shadows continue to advance, forming hallways and obstacles that twist and shift with every step. A narrow passage he saw moments ago now stretches impossibly, a labyrinth designed to trap him. He can hear whispers all around him, soft at first, then growing into a cacophony of voices, each one reminding him of failures, losses, and secrets he thought he had buried. You can't run. You can't hide. The voices chant, unrelenting, echoing off the walls and embedding themselves in his thoughts. Summoning every ounce of courage, Ty pushes forward. He knows that if he freezes, the shadows will consume him entirely. He navigates the maze of memories, stepping over fallen objects, ducking under twisted beams, and weaving through corridors that seem to shift around him. Each step is a battle, not with the facility, but with the manifestations of his own fears. The shadows attack in burst flashes of motion, flickers of light, but he learns to anticipate them, yet to move through them rather than resist. At the center of the room, a sudden calm falls. A single, larger shadow emerges, standing still in the dim light. It is darker, more defined than the others, and Ty instinctively knows it represents the core of his nightmare. His breathing accelerates, but he doesn't look away. Every instinct urges him to flee, but he steels himself, understanding that the only way out is through. He takes a step toward it, and as he does, the room seems to shift once more, the shadows receding slightly. Allowing him a narrow path, Ty's hand brushes against the cold wall for balance, and his mind races with the realization that this confrontation is no longer just a test, it is a choice. He can run and remain haunted forever, or he can face the nightmare and reclaim a part of himself that has been lost for too long. The shadow watches him, waiting, unyielding, a living representation of the fear he must finally face. And with that, Ty takes the shadow, stands before Ty, solid and oppressive, absorbing every flicker of light in the room. It is silent, yet its presence speaks volumes, echoing every fear, every regret, every secret Ty has buried deep inside. The air grows thick, almost suffocating, carrying the weight of countless memories pressing down on him. Ty feels a cold sweat run down his back, but he knows he cannot turn away. The nightmare has taken shape, and this is the point of no return. With cautious steps, he approaches the shadow, the floor beneath him creaking with each movement. Every instinct tells him to flee, to escape into the storm outside, but he does not. The shadow seems to respond to his fear, shifting slightly as if taunting him, testing his resolve. Ty's mind flashes with fragments of the past. Moments of helplessness, of loss, of pain he could never forget. Each memory hits like a wave, threatening to pull him under, but he steadies himself, focusing on the path forward. A deep breath, ready to confront the nightmare head-on, stepping into the very heart of the darkness. The room reacts to his determination. The shadows around the walls twist violently and then recede slightly, leaving the central figure more defined. Broken objects and scattered debris stir, yet do not impede his steps. The facility seems to recognize that this is the final confrontation, the culmination of every fear and memory Ty has carried. The air vibrates with tension, and a low hum fills the room. Almost like the heartbeat of the nightmare itself, Ty raises his hand slowly, reaching toward the shadow. It does not move toward him aggressively, but looms like an immovable wall of darkness. His reflection flickers in the cracked mirror across the room, revealing glimpses of the pain and fear he has carried silently for years. For a brief moment, he almost falters, his mind screaming to turn back, to hide, to escape. But deep inside, something stronger resists a determination to face the darkness. To reclaim himself from the fear that has haunted him, the shadow reacts, stretching and splitting into fragmented images, each representing a different memory, a different fear. Ty does not retreat. He steps forward through them, feeling the weight of each one, acknowledging them without resistance. The whispers around him grow louder, overlapping into a chaotic chorus, but instead of breaking him, they sharpen his focus. He understands now the nightmare exists because he allowed it to control him. To overcome it, he must face it fully, without flinching. Ty's hand touches the shadow finally, and a shiver runs through the room. The darkness seems to pulse in recognition, then slowly begins to dissolve. Breaking into tiny fragments of light that swirl and fade, he feels the tension in his chest ease slightly, the oppressive weight lifting. The shadows on the walls recede, leaving the room quiet, still, almost peaceful. For the first time in years, Ty stands in the facility without being chased by memories, without being haunted. The nightmare is still there in fragments, but it no longer holds power over him. He takes a slow, steady breath, allowing himself to feel the clarity that comes after the confrontation. The facility, once terrifying and alive with his fears, now feels empty, inert, a reflection of a past that has been faced. Ty knows that the path ahead will not be easy. Memories and fears do not vanish overnight, but for the first time, he feels a sense of control, a fragile but growing strength. He has faced the nightmare, stood in the darkness, and taken the first step toward reclaiming his life. The shadows have receded, leaving the room eerily quiet. The flickering lights stabilize, casting a soft, pale glow on the cracked walls and broken furniture. Ty stands in the center of the room, his chest rising and falling as he takes slow, measured breaths. The oppressive weight of fear that once held him captive is lighter now, like a storm finally passing. For the first time in years, he feels the faint stirrings of calm, but he knows this is only the beginning. He steps forward, moving through the remnants of the room, his hand brushing against cold, rusty metal and shattered wood. Each object carries a memory, a story he has faced, and for the first time, he feels a sense of control over them. The facility, which once seemed alive with menace, now lies dormant, as if acknowledging that he has survived its trials. Yet, there is a lingering unease in the air, a subtle tension that whispers the truth. The past never fully disappears. Ty approaches the cracked mirror one last time, the one that reflected fragments of his nightmares. This time, his reflection is clear-shadowed, worn but unbroken. He stares at himself, acknowledging the pain, the fear, and the courage it took to confront it. The mirror no longer distorts him. It is a quiet testament to his resilience. The echoes of whispers fade, replaced by a stillness that feels almost sacred, as he turns to leave. The faint sound of a door creaking echoes from somewhere deeper in the facility. Ty freezes. His heart skips a beat. The sound is subtle, almost hesitant but unmistakable. Something or someone still lingers within these walls, a presence he cannot yet name. The facility has not given up all its secrets, and Tai senses that the next challenge is waiting, just beyond reach. A shiver runs down his spine. A reminder that facing one nightmare does not mean the end of the struggle. Tai walks toward the exit, each step purposeful, but the camera lingers on the shadows behind him. For a fleeting moment, they flicker again, hinting that not all memories and fears have been conquered. The storm outside has begun to clear, revealing a faint sliver of moonlight that illuminates the gate he first entered through. It is a symbol of hope, but also a reminder. The journey is far from over. He pushes open the heavy gate. Stepping out into the cold night air, the wind brushes against his face, carrying with it the scent of freedom mixed with the lingering trace of fear. Tai looks back once, his silhouette framed by the facility that once held his nightmares. He knows he has won a battle, but not the war. The shadows may have been challenged tonight, but the past is never fully gone. And the facility still holds secrets waiting to be unearthed. The screen fades to black, leaving only the faint sound of the wind and a distant, almost imperceptible whisper. This is not the end. A title card appears. Heartland S19 FF E85. Tai faces the facility of his nightmares. To be continued. The audience is left with a mix of relief, suspense, and anticipation for the next episode, eager to see what challenges await Tai and whether he can truly escape the shadows of his past. Highlights of this section: emotional closure. Tai confronts his fears and gains a sense of control. Lingering suspense hints at unresolved threats and secrets within the facility. Faceless video cues, POV of Tai walking, lingering shadows, flickering lights, and subtle sound effects for tension and release. Cliffhanger teases the next episode while providing a satisfying resolution to this confrontation.